Meeting to order. Do we need to do a roll call? Or how do we do that in this case?
We can just read off who's here from this end if you want. Touch your mic button, turn it on there. Touch it and it goes green.
Okay. Mike,
I'm here.
Mary Sue, Mary Sue, are you there? Okay. Alyssa Douglas,
Elisa here.
Elisa, Cassie,
I'm here.
okay, Josh,
Present.
Eric, Cornell,
Here.
okay, and how many is, okay, Mr. Francis is here in person. Okay, we're all present and accounted for.
Wonderful. Congratulations, everyone. We have our first quorum in, I don't know, almost 2 years. It feels like maybe it's a year and a half. Kirby, how do we want to move this forward so that way we can do this without taking too much time, but we get everything done?
I think we just be quick with it and we can catch up. We have, y'all have the agenda. The next item would be review and approval of the minutes from February 20th of 2020.
Can we get a first for that, please?
I move that we approve the minutes.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second that.
That'd be Elisa. Is that what it is?
It is.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right.
And if you can't speak, you can always type it into the chat.
Next item would be introductions, and we have Commissioner Salee present. I'm sitting in his seat. Then we go to excused absences. We have I can read them. Excused, we had Wybon, Pat Bruner, Val Childers, Jeff McCaughlin, I think I got that right, and Lois Zimmerman. That's just entered into the record. There's no action required. Next item would be chairman's report.
I think the only thing I have to report is that we would like to have a second meeting this year so we can make sure we're moving things forward. I'm sure we've all had fun with COVID last year and such as that, but with business starting to try to return to normal, let's try to meet our civic responsibility to this council as well so we can have more scheduled meetings. Thank you.
Your next item would be review and consideration of the meeting schedule for next year for 22. That go out to everybody. Okay, do we have that list? I can read them off if you want.
I assume we're still aiming for 4 times a year.
Correct.
Okay.
That works with the report cycle.
Okay.
It gets a little ungainly any past that. In the event there's not a meeting or we don't need a meeting, we would cancel it, but still produce the report and distribute. Yes, please.
Okay, what we have is February 17th, May 19th, August 18th, November 17th.
That is
Sounds
an
good.
action item.
Do we have a motion to accept the times for the meetings?
I motion that we accept the times for the meetings.
I
Second.
second it. Mike Gray.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed.
Next item would be nominations for the 2021 officers. Maybe that's why we weren't able to have meetings, because nobody wanted to be an officer. But that's,
Stop that. Just never done enough meetings to get people moved into their spots.
so Mr. Chair, that's your next action item.
Well, look, if it keeps things easy, you know, I tried to hand this off a few times, but if nobody has a problem, I would certainly be happy to stay in the role until someone else comes forward. Does anyone else want to step in?
I agree with you, Cornell, because you really haven't had a chance to serve yet.
Yeah. So we officially nominate Cornell.
I'm the forever chair.
I nominate Cornell.
I second that.
Now, does Cassie want to stay my my Veep?
Sorry, guys, I'm driving, so a little bit hard to communicate. I'm happy to do that.
Oh, sorry. I nominate Cassie to continue in her role.
I'll second that. Elisa.
Do we have any other voluntold? I mean, tears. All right. Hearing none, I guess we will remand these to the next meeting when we can actually vote. Do we need any action on this, Kirby, other than just taking them?
As long as you voted on it, that's fine. For nominations, the next meeting, you vote on the positions.
Okay.
And next item would be our report.
All right.
Thank you all for making the meeting. Appreciate it greatly. A few things I wanted to bring up. The last round of new projects to add is in the process of being determined. We expect Vision Authority actions in the coming months on several projects. Bixby has identified their final project, and that will be the final suburban project. Their council has not taken it up yet, but we're expecting that application shortly for the Vision Authority. And then Tulsa County is in the process of determining its final projects. So that will get, our goal is to have that slate set and still in this year, and then move forward on completion of those projects. On the finance side, in the quarter, we processed $699,000 in payments for the 3 months. That was a little bit of a slow period for us. Some of the projects were delayed with COVID, so that held some things up. We made a slight modification to the payment methodology recently. In the past, these have all been, all the financial accounts have been held by the Tulsa County Industrial Authority. That has recently changed, and those are now BOCC accounts. So we added a BOCC approval of all pay apps. That's a standing agenda item each week. So that's the same process, just one little step in between, since those are BOCC accounts now. And the reason this changed is we lost the status of an agency account with the Industrial Authority at the trustee bank, because there was essentially no longer a qualified trust, because all the bonds had been expended, and as they audited their accounts, I think they thought we ought to move it over to a BOCC account instead of an industrial authority account. Doesn't change anything else, just one step in the process. The audit will stay the same, that we'll provide to you once it's completed.
Hey, Kirby, I just want to note that Alicia Mintz just joined the discussion.
I didn't understand you that. Go ahead.
Felicia Mims just joined the committee hearing.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Wanted to talk a bit on a few projects.
Kirby, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear us, Kirby? I don't think anyone else can hear you.
Oh, it bumped it. Sorry about that. I'll
Oh,
back
there
up.
we go. All right.
I think the mic timed out. So on Sand Springs Low Water Dam, I'll back up. We are in the planning design portion, very preliminary with the Corps of Engineers in the lead, 2025 money and Sand Springs money, along with some Corps of Engineers money. But the Corps has not received full funding yet for this portion. It was passed over twice in the president's budget. We're hopeful that it will be included in the upcoming president's budget. So this would be Biden's first budget. We'll know that by October. If it does not make the president's budget, there is a review process that we go through with the Corps of Engineers to determine if they believe they will receive funding. So it's just, we have the start, it has not been funded, but we have to proof that. Otherwise, we could sit in this for a long time in this methodology. So that's an upcoming decision point in October to see if we receive those major funds. The Zinc Lake project, you all know, has been handed over to the city of Tulsa. Still like to talk about it a little bit. It's in construction, doing very well. The only thing that's been a challenge is a non-2025 part, and that is the coordination with the pedestrian bridge replacement. And I understand that that has recently received its permitting. I saw an action item on River Park's agenda related to that for the expenditure of phase 3 funding, which would be construction. So hopefully that is getting a move on. There is the potential of some delay claims related to the shared coffer dam. That's the temporary construction dam. It's being shared between the two projects. And if the bridge is not able to get its first section in, then we have to keep that dam in place longer. So I know the city is having some discussions about that. It's no 2025 impact. Our funds are fully expended. Route 66. There's a pretty fun thing happening with the city of Tulsa on the Pearl preservation. They are developed and are ready to issue, as I understand, a preservation grant methodology for building facades along Route 66. We're expecting those to start late summer and fall. That's pretty exciting. Attended a couple of meetings on that. The neighborhood's pretty excited to participate with that.
Kirby, I'm sorry. What is a building facade? Are you talking like a face to a building?
It's the face of the building.
Okay.
So what faces the street is the facade. In prior design methodologies and architecture, the sides and the back of the building were usually pretty plain, and the front had a had the facade, what it, its theming. And so a lot of that needs to be stabilized and improved. We did something similar in Sand Springs, worked very well. Sand Springs downtown, and the city's modeling it after that.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything official on the Route 66 Interpretive Center, but I do know that the city is in discussions on relocating it to another location. And that would be at across the street from Mother Road Market in that new project. But it's not official yet, and they haven't taken any action on what that lease would be. So I don't have anything more than that. And that's the last two of the Route 66 projects to really complete. In the new projects, these are the ones that started after the original projects. The Broken Arrow Creative Arts Center is in construction, doing very well. Scheduled completion is December of this year. It does appear to have some COVID delays, but not dramatic. City of Jenks has a design project underway for their TIF district for sewer on the west side of Highway 75. And that started last year and is supposed to be completed this year on the engineering side. Construction of that would be funded whenever somebody moves into that district. So the TIF funds would actually pay for those improvements. Broken Arrow Gateway signage. This is an interesting one. The master plan is been submitted to city staff for review and to take to council. Following that, they will construct at least one of the locations, possibly two, if the funds are available. We've got a unique project in Bixby. It's an underdrain project at 141st Street in Hakey. This is following the flood with the Hakey Creek Channel improvements and levee improvements that were done with Vision dollars previously. We ended up with a settlement area that was ponding water on the roadway. And so they're presently installing an underdrain system to alleviate that. Roadway improvements with Tulsa County. We have 5 roadway projects that we funded the design for, and the construction is being funded with Vision Tulsa monies. The first one is the 121st Street and from Elwood to Highway 75 in Jenks corridor project. This is scheduled for construction in 2024. It's in partnership with state SERB money. So there's a large state funding contingent on that project. And that follows, if you're a Jenks person, that follows the 111th Street project for connection to Highway 75. And we have 86th Street North in Owasso. This is in design. It is from Memorial to 75. We have County Line Road or Lynn Lane widening at 51st Street. And that's been joined with the last project there listed, one of the roundabouts at 51st Street. And those are in final design and right-of-way acquisition. And next step is utility relocations, and we anticipate this bidding for construction sometime in 22. There's a large Broken Arrow water line that has to be relocated as part of this project, and that's been funded by the city of Broken Arrow to relocate. And we have the Horsepin Creek Bridge replacement. That's a Collinsville area. That's scheduled for this fall. It's presently in utility relocations now. The water line work is being relocated. So design and relocations are funded, and the full construction funding is on the agenda Monday for BOCC. I think that's all of those. I want to jump down to Chandler Park. We have renovations to the lower level of Chandler Park underway. So this is where the old tennis courts were. Those have all been demoed, constructed a new roadway down there previously, and turnaround and parking. The last piece of it is a restroom building that's about to be constructed and an overlook. The overlook is intended to be a wedding venue and of sorts overlooking the river. It's in a really pretty spot. That work is scheduled to begin by county forces mid this year. I think it will probably be in the fall due to some other COVID projects that the county has. Same way with the Fortune Par 3 Golf. The coursework is all complete. We have a renovation of the restrooms in process, but that's also been delayed by another COVID cares project that needed to be completed before it, and that's up around the clubhouse. The herd at La Fortune is no activity on site. It's in redesign to reduce that project to get it into the budget. This is one that's in partnership with Nature Conservancy, or excuse me, not Nature Conservancy, Nature Works. So it is headed for redesign to shrink it into the budget. Chandler Park Volleyball will be constructed next season. That'll all be done by county forces with Vision 2025 paying for the materials. It's just now in early design stage. La Fortune Park Tennis. We've completed the air conditioning of the indoor courts, and there is a wall that has to be constructed, again, by county forces that are same ones doing some of these other CARES projects. And that is probably a winter project this year, but we have a temporary drape up to allow the courts to be used and to protect players. Bixby has their 126th Street and Memorial project. This one will be a good while for construction starts likely because it's an ODOT project with our funds being used for the local match. Up to a couple in Broken Arrow. So we have the Elm Place and New Orleans improvements and the East Dallas and First Street parking. Those are in preliminary design. The parking project is really an interesting one. This is off-street parking to improve some lots with lighting and surface and landscaping to serve the Rose District. So these are over by City Hall. So to have it be favorable conditions for parking in the evening. Big project going on at Expo Square, Golden Driller Plaza. It's been in the media some. This is underway with a variety of funding that the media didn't list 2025 on, but it's 3 funding sources: Vision 2025, Vision Tulsa, City of Tulsa Vision funds, and local dollars from Expo. The sequence of payment there is that the City of Tulsa's funds will be expended first, then local Expo dollars, then Vision 2025 dollars. So you won't see expenditures come through on that till late summer. It's to be completed by fair time, as about every Expo project is schedule. It's going well. This gives a new front entrance to the Expo building, the IPE building that I grew up with, and has a parking area and spot for taking pictures with the Golden Driller and a drop-off area. It's really a good plaza project. That front door needed some love. It hadn't really had anything since the original construction. A couple of projects coming back to life that are not listed because they've been dormant. In Owasso, the Owasso Sports Park projects, they have finally received their 404 permit from the Corps of Engineers for their wetlands impact in that area. So they're beginning their projects Primarily, these will be access roadway projects to help with the park, possibly a signalization project for access in and out of the park. We expect that to be this winter to go to construction. And then the last one is the original project of the Owasso Community Center. It's the last little project, and they've identified an outdoor classroom, I believe, that they're going to construct on that property, which is located behind the old original fire station in Owasso. That's all I have for those. If you have questions, please speak up.
Hey, Kirby. When do you, and this is probably a funny question to ask following the whole COVID thing, but do we have a general idea of how much longer funds will exist for this?
We have 2 projects that are just starting, and we have projects that are not yet started, which are the final Tulsa County projects. So I'm looking at probably a 3-year time frame for completion of the entire program.
Great, thank you.
One of the big projects we've been working on in the preliminary stages is the OSU Extension Office relocation. That was approved by the Vision Authority to move it from Expo Square and construct a new facility at OSU Tulsa. And we're in the discussions with OSU Tulsa. They've agreed to the project, but on exactly where it goes on the campus and what it will look like. And we're anticipating late summer to enter into design on that project. And it's one that may need a little bit more money. That would be go to the Vision Authority if it does. We have $4.5 million assigned for it, but depending on where it lands and with the construction escalation we've had in the last 18 months, that one may need a little more funding.
Kirby, this is Eric. Will you send out your presentation in electronic format?
I don't know that if we have this records or not. If it does,
I mean, no. You're normally we get the paper document so that we can page along with you as you speak. If that got sent out in advance, I missed it.
Okay, we'll send you another, Eric. It was sent out. We'll send it to you again.
Kirby, this is Josh. It is my understanding that between the city of Tulsa and Tulsa County, between the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan Act, collectively, there should be several $100 million going into local governments. Do you know if that's going to have any impact? I mean, I know this money's already been spoken before, but like concurrently projects going on, are we anticipating any impacts in years going forward since there's potentially a lot more money coming into local governments on these projects?
We have used some of the CARES funds on a variety of projects. Primarily, though, they've been Vision Tulsa projects versus 2025 projects. There are some that are being looked at that may share with some of these projects, though. That kind of what you were looking for?
In effect, yes. And I know that ARPA money was, I don't even know if the county or city's gotten it yet. It's very, very fresh, but I was just wondering, since anytime we're talking about, several $100 million, I figure it's going to have an impact somewhere. I just wasn't sure if we knew yet what that might foretell in the future.
It does, and it's not been determined yet. There are meetings ongoing on that with the county's committee, and then it will have to be approved by the BOCC. They typically have a standing Monday morning agenda item for those actions.
Okay, thank you.
If no more questions, I would ask that for acceptance of the report.
Hold on one minute, please. So, Kirby, I found the report for the first quarter. It's dated March 31st. And that is what you just went through?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know where in my head I got it, but I'm thinking, well, I mean, we're almost through May. So we're 2/3 of the way through the second quarter. Are we going to have a meeting then in June so that we can review the second quarter, or July? What's the plan here? Because we're running quite a few months behind.
We had quorum issues previously. And so we are behind on this one. We can do another meeting if there is desire to. We don't have an approved meeting list for this year because we didn't have a quorum at that meeting to do that. So we can do another meeting to catch it up, and I'd be glad to look at that.
But I'll leave it to Cornell, but if we're supposed to be doing our due diligence, I'm not sure the value of reviewing a particular quarter, a quarter or two after it's occurred.
I don't disagree. It's all in, do we make a quorum or not?
And the other thing is we also have to start trying to figure out, the rules are changing again on how these committees meet with the emergency order coming to an end and all that, so.
Yes, I think we'll be back on direct meetings. I think we're authorized through July or to July on remotes. Be happy to look at that and circulate dates and if there's desire to get more current, love to be more current.
I think if we can get a quorum to do something that would get us caught up, that's great. As long as we also don't shoot ourselves later on in the year. That's all I'll add.
Yeah, that would be a July meeting, I guess. I think we can make that work. Have to look at calendars.
We'll get together on it. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna put a motion to accept Kirby's report.
Motion to accept it. This is Eric.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Kirby, I guess we just have to motion out.
Just adjourn.
All right, I take a motion to adjourn.
I motion that we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that. This is Josh.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Hearing none opposed, we